Here is a world of communication, bringing together all people in a new era of understanding.
Elektrischer Reporter.
Wichtig, liebe Zuschauer daheim an den Empfangsgeräten oder von wo auch immer Sie uns gerade zusehen, wichtig ist, was hinten rauskommt. Das bemerkte einst, ebenso sinnig wie assoziativ, der ehemalige Bundeskanzler Helmut Kohl. Hinten raus kommt das Wissen der Welt, solange man nur vorne genug Menschen daran schreiben lässt. So oder ähnlich lautet die Grundidee der freien Online-Enzyklopädie Wikipedia. Außen hui und innen pfui urteilen hingegen Kritiker des Mitmach-Lexikons und verorten den Umgangston der Wikipedianer irgendwo zwischen Hafenspelunke und Nachmittagstalkshow. Einer dieser Skeptiker ist Larry Sanger, und der ist nicht irgendwer, sondern immerhin einer der Wikipedia-Gründer. Wie alles begann, warum er dem Projekt den Rücken kehrte und was er künftig alles besser machen will, das erklärt uns nun Mr. Sanger persönlich.
At the beginning of 2000, I was essentially looking for a job. I wanted to start a new website, and I sent a proposal for this out to a bunch of people, one of which was Jimmy Wales, who I knew from various philosophy mailing lists from the mid-1990s. And Jimmy replied by saying, well, you know, forget about that website. Why don't you be the editor-in-chief of this new open content encyclopedia that I'm trying to get started? I put together an advisory board of mostly PhD professors, and we set up a complicated 7-step process, content development process for this new encyclopedia called Newpedia. We were pretty happy to have articles within a few months of actually starting it up, but the trickle of articles never really gained momentum, never really developed into a flood as we wanted. On the evening of January 2nd, 2001, I was having dinner with a friend from those same philosophy mailing lists, actually, in the 1990s, Ben Kovitz. Ben told me about something I had never heard about, wikis. That evening, I contacted Jimmy, and Jimmy said, oh, you know, let's try it. And by the 10th of January, the project was ready to go. The Newpedia Advisory Board wanted to have nothing to do with something called a wiki. The idea that just anyone would be able to come to the website and just start editing any article or start any article they want struck them as just completely absurd. We nevertheless wanted to do this, so we decided to launch the project under a different domain name. So I picked the name Wikipedia and relaunched the project on the 15th of January. And I suppose the rest is history.
Wikipedia was to be a freewheeling, fun side project.
I proposed a lot, perhaps most of the key policies for both Newpedia and Wikipedia. So the neutral point of view policy, called the non-bias policy, perhaps more importantly, actually defended at great lengths against considerable resistance against it by a lot of the original participants who thought the idea of neutrality is impossible and unrealistic and so forth. But I think now we know differently. Yeah, I sort of led the project by force of moral authority, not through any specific enforcement authority. I had a little bit of that. And I think it was a result of the fact that I didn't really have any real authority in the project, that a lot of problems started developing. A lot of people who I would describe as trolls, mischief makers of one sort or another, essentially decided that the project should go in one direction, a direction most closely resembling anarchy, whereas I wanted to take it in the direction of and at least a reasonably respectable encyclopedia project. Because I was no longer being paid, and because I valued my work professionally, and because I had to find a job, of course, I had to resign. So that's what I did. The community and the community governance were moving in a direction that I couldn't support.
The community does not enforce its own rules effectively or consistently. Consequently, administrators and ordinary participants alike are able to essentially act abusively with impunity, which begets a never-ending cycle of abuse.
I couldn't see myself asking serious professors and professionals to go into that arena and negotiate with the people who were dominating the project.
Many now complain that the leaders of the community have become insular. It has become increasingly difficult for people who are not already part of the community to get fully on board, regardless of their ability or qualifications.
It was actually at that point that I presented Jimmy Wales with a decision, essentially. I said, either you do something about the troll problem, and you do something, and I had various suggestions, about making life a little bit easier for experts. I asked Jimmy to do these things, and I said, if I don't see some serious commitment from you, I'm just going to completely leave the project. I'm going to wash my hands of it entirely. And Jimmy argued with me a little bit in private email and essentially dismissed my concerns at the time.
Can Wikipedia recover from these problems? The first step to recovery is admitting that you have a problem in the first place. Wikipedia's most passionate defenders, if they react at all, will probably do nothing but explain why I am mistaken in each of these criticisms.
I've watched the project from a distance, but I haven't really contributed or advised the project except in some essays since then.
Often, if you wish to make any very important change to an open source or open content project that has an entrenched community, the only way to do it is to start a new community. And that's what I propose.
So in the past month or so, I have come to the decision that what the world needs is a version of Wikipedia, something like Wikipedia, that runs under something like the same system, that is just as dynamic and just almost as open as Wikipedia, but managed in a different way, starting with a different community, and also starting with the same content. So what I'm describing is, of course, a fork.
I always have been an enormous fan of Wikipedia, and I still am. But I now want to help launch something better.
The name is Citizendium. It's the citizens' compendium of knowledge. The editors would not have top-down control. They wouldn't be able to order that work be done, but they will be able to make binding decisions when controversies arise about articles.
Anyone may participate, but all must be logged in under their own real names. We will use the honor principle to begin with, as if it's a wiki project after all, and with a working email address.
We want to set up a system that is beholden to a charter. The community should be organized using a charter.
As with most charters, the Citizendium community charter will be relatively brief and vague, difficult to change, and regarded as the binding law of the project.
I think that web projects, internet projects, should be managed in the same way that the most responsible meat space communities are managed, namely by a constitutional republic. I don't see why it shouldn't be that way, really.
Where Wikipedia shares the culture of anonymity found in the broader internet, the Citizendium will have a culture of real-world personal responsibility.
We're going to do this as fast as possible, as sloppily as necessary.
I want to start the project with a bang. I would like to strain the limits of whatever server configuration we put in place.
Auch Kritiker Larry Sanger hat seine Kritiker. Einige weisen darauf hin, dass er wohl mittlerweile Ankündigungsweltmeister in Sachen Online-Enzyklopädien ist. Anderen ist das undurchsichtige Konstrukt seiner momentanen Arbeitgeber nicht ganz geheuer. Wie auch immer und nichtsdestotrotz, von dem zum Start angekündigten großen Knall ist mittlerweile keine Rede mehr. Stattdessen testet derzeit eine geschlossene Benutzergruppe das System. Vielleicht sollten wir ja einfach mal abwarten. Und damit wir in dieser Zeit nicht dümmer werden, lassen wir uns währenddessen erklären, was eigentlich Web 2.0 ist.
Web 2.0 ist Beta.
Vielen Dank. So, liebe Zuschauer, 1, 2, 3 im Sauseschritt und wer hat an der Uhr gedreht? Erneut wünsche ich Ihnen eine inspirierte Woche und verbleibe hoffend, dass Sie uns gewogen bleiben und auch das nächste Mal wieder einschalten. Ihr elektrischer Reporter.
Wir helfen den Opfern. Helfen Sie uns.
Utopie ist nicht Vision, schon gar nicht Fortschritt. Fortschritt kann Vision sein. Vision kommt oft ohne Fortschritt aus. Das, was mich seit je am Thema Zukunft fasziniert, ist die Möglichkeit, mittels Technologie Utopien zu realisieren. Utopie ist ein evolutionärer Vektor, der, wenn er um des eigenen Vorteils willen missachtet wird, alles Leben aus Ideen, Erfindungen und Visionen saugt.